The fluorescent lights of East Side High buzzed overhead, casting a harsh glare on the hallway's linoleum floor. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her backpack, her right arm shorter than most, with fingers that curled slightly inward, clutching the worn strap with a determination that belied her vulnerability. At 16, Elena had become an expert at navigating the treacherous waters of high school social dynamics. Her physical difference wasn't just a challenge, it was a constant invitation for cruel commentary. Some days, the whispers felt like physical blows, sharp and unexpected, leaving bruises that no one could see. Her story began long before these hallways. Elena was born in a small town outside of San Antonio, Texas, to Maria and Diego Rodriguez, two people whose love was as expansive as the Texas sky. When the doctors first explained her congenital condition during Maria's pregnancy, her parents never saw it as a limitation. Instead, they saw it as a unique part of their daughter's journey. Mija, her mother, would say, smoothing Elena's dark curls, "Your arm doesn't define you. It's just one part of a beautiful story waiting to be written." These words became Elena's armor, though some days that armor felt paper thin. Growing up, Elena learned to adapt. Simple tasks became intricate puzzles she'd solve with remarkable creativity. Tying shoelaces, buttoning shirts, writing, each became a testament to her resilience. Her younger brother Miguel was her fiercest defender, often turning playground taunts into opportunities for education. "She's not broken," Miguel would declare to anyone who dared mock his sister. "She's just different." But difference, Elena had learned, was rarely celebrated in the unforgiving ecosystem of adolescence. Middle school had been a battlefield of sideways glances, hushed giggles, and outright mockery. Some kids would stare, their eyes traveling from her face to her shortened arm with a mixture of curiosity and cruelty. Now, in the sprawling corridors of East Side High, the stakes felt higher. Teenagers could be brutally efficient in their methods of exclusion. Elena had learned to make herself invisible, to blend into the background, to avoid drawing attention to herself. Her strategy was simple: stay quiet, complete her assignments, avoid group projects, and minimize interaction. But beneath this carefully constructed exterior burned an inner fire, a resilience that even she wasn't fully aware of yet. As she walked down the hallway that morning, her messenger bag slung awkwardly across her body, Elena had no idea that everything was about to change. The universe was preparing a narrative far more complex and extraordinary than any high school hierarchy could comprehend. Little did she know, her greatest strength wasn't in conforming, but in the unique perspective her life had carved, a perspective that would soon transform not just her world, but the worlds of those around her. The whispers followed Elena like a persistent shadow. In the ecosystem of high school, differences were currency, and she was perpetually marked as an outsider. Sarah Winters, the queen bee of East Side High, seemed to make it her personal mission to ensure Elena felt every ounce of her marginalization. "Look at her attempt to take notes," Sarah would snicker during history class, just loud enough for others to hear. "How long is that going to take her?" Her friends would giggle, a chorus of cruelty that echoed through the classroom. Each comment was a carefully aimed arrow, designed to puncture Elena's already fragile sense of self-worth. She'd learned to keep her eyes down, to minimize her movements, to become as invisible as possible. But invisibility was a double-edged sword. It protected her from direct confrontation, but amplified her internal isolation. At home, the dynamic was starkly different. Maria Rodriguez possessed a fierce maternal love that burned like a protective flame. "They mock what they don't understand," she would tell Elena during their nightly talks, running her fingers through her daughter's hair. "Your difference is not a weakness. It's a unique strength waiting to be discovered." Diego, a mechanical engineer, approached Elena's challenges with a problem-solver's mentality. He would spend hours designing custom tools and adaptations that could help her navigate daily tasks. A specially modified pencil grip, a custom backpack strap, small innovations that spoke volumes about his love and belief in his daughter's potential. Miguel, her younger brother, was her most vocal defender. Just 13, he possessed a courage that defied his age. "Want me to shut down those jerks?" he'd ask, his fists clenched protectively whenever Elena returned home looking defeated. But internal battles are often the most brutal. Elena's self-doubt was a constant companion, whispering insidious narratives of limitation. In physical education class, she'd watch other students participate effortlessly in volleyball and basketball, her shortened arm a stark reminder of her perceived inadequacies. Her journal became her sanctuary, pages filled with raw, unfiltered emotions, fears, hopes, frustrations. "Today, Sarah called me half a person during lunch," one entry read. "Sometimes I wonder if she's right. Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever fit in anywhere." The school counselor, Mrs. Ramirez, recognized Elena's struggle. Unlike others who offered superficial sympathy, she saw the depth of Elena's emotional landscape. "Your worth isn't determined by physical completeness," she would remind Elena during their weekly conversations. "It's determined by your character, your resilience, your heart." But resilience is a muscle that requires constant exercise, and for Elena, each day was a workout of emotional endurance. Physical education was her personal battlefield. While other students seamlessly participated in team sports, Elena would be assigned alternative activities, a euphemism that felt more like segregation. Climbing ropes, doing modified push-ups, always separate, always separate, always different. The boys were often crueler than the girls. Jason Thompson, the school's star quarterback, made no effort to hide his derision. "Bet you can't even throw a ball straight," he'd mutter when they crossed paths, his words dripping with manufactured superiority. These moments chipped away at her confidence, creating internal fault lines of doubt and uncertainty. She began to internalize these external narratives, seeing herself through the lens of her limitations rather than her potential. Her art became her silent rebellion. In sketchbooks hidden from judgmental eyes, she would draw extraordinary scenes, people with bodies that defied conventional understanding, landscapes that challenged perceptions of normal. Each stroke was an act of quiet defiance, a declaration that her creativity knew no physical boundaries. At night, the weight of the day would settle on her shoulders. The tears would come silently, a release of accumulated pain, frustration, and unexpressed anger. Her mother would hold her, not attempting to minimize her pain but simply being present, a testament to unconditional love. "You are more than what they see," Maria would whisper. "You are a story still being written." Little did Elena know her story was about to take a turn that would challenge everything: her perception of herself, the school's narrow definitions of ability, and the very foundations of what society deemed possible. The Art of Resilience competition was never supposed to be Elena's moment. Organized by the Regional Cultural Center, it attracted artists from across 3 counties, promising a scholarship and exhibition for the winner. Most students viewed it as just another academic achievement to pad their college applications. For Elena, art had always been her silent language, a realm where her physical limitations dissolved, where her single hand could create worlds more complex and beautiful than any spoken word could describe. Her art teacher, Mr. Ramirez, no relation to the school counselor, had been quietly observing Elena's work for months. Where other teachers saw a student struggling to participate, he saw a raw, unfiltered artistic genius waiting to be unleashed. "Your perspective is your greatest weapon," he told her one afternoon, examining a sketch she'd been working on during lunch. The drawing was extraordinary, a cityscape where buildings seemed to twist and merge, creating impossible architectures that challenged traditional perceptions of space and form. The piece was created using a unique technique Elena had developed. Unable to use 2 hands like most artists, she'd learned to manipulate charcoal, pencils, and paintbrushes with an almost supernatural precision. Her shortened arm became a pivot point, allowing her to create sweeping movements and intricate details that most 2-handed artists couldn't achieve. Mr. Ramirez saw something more than just a technical skill. He saw a narrative, a visual language that spoke about adaptation, resilience, and the beauty of difference. "You're entering the competition," he declared, his tone leaving no room for negotiation. Elena's immediate response was panic. "No way," she stammered. "They'll laugh. They always laugh." But Mr. Ramirez understood something fundamental about Elena that she hadn't yet recognized about herself. Her art wasn't just a hobby. It was a form of rebellion, a way of rewriting the narrative that had been imposed upon her. The day of the competition arrived with a tension that felt electric. The community center's gallery was filled with artwork from high schools across the region. Pristine canvases, carefully crafted sculptures, digital art created on expensive equipment, and then there was Elena's piece. She had created a massive mixed-media installation that defied categorization. Using recycled materials, charcoal, paint, and unconventional tools she'd modified herself, the artwork was a stunning representation of human adaptation, It depicted human figures emerging from architectural fragments, some complete, some deliberately fragmented, all beautiful in their imperfection. Sarah Winters and her clique were also at the competition. When they saw Elena's artwork, their typical mockery froze mid-breath. This wasn't the Elena they thought they knew, the girl they'd spent years marginalizing. The judges, 3 professional artists from different disciplines, were captivated. They moved around Elena's piece, discussing it in hushed, reverent tones. One judge, a renowned sculptor with a physical disability herself, seemed particularly moved. "This isn't just art," she said, her voice carrying across the gallery. "This is a statement. This is what true creativity looks like, unbound by physical limitations, rooted in pure imagination." When they announced the winners, the room fell silent. First place, scholarship, exhibition, Elena's name. The moment was surreal. Sarah and her friends stood slack-jawed. The students who had spent years treating her as an outsider now looked at her with a mixture of shock and newfound respect. But the most profound transformation wasn't external. It was happening inside Elena. For the first time, she saw herself not as a victim of circumstance, but as a creator. Her perceived limitation wasn't a weakness, it was the very source of her unique strength. The confrontation with her bullies wasn't dramatic or violent. It was quiet, powerful, and definitive. When Sarah approached her after the announcement, expecting to find the same timid girl she'd always known, she was met with something entirely different. "Congratulations," Sarah mumbled, her previous confidence now seeming small and insignificant. Elena's response was simple, but laden with years of suppressed strength. "Thank you," she said, her voice steady. "I hope my art helps people see the world a little differently." The scholarship wasn't just financial. It was a validation, a public declaration that talent recognizes no physical boundaries. The exhibition would tour multiple cities, her artwork becoming a testament to resilience, creativity, and the power of seeing beyond surface-level differences. Her family's reaction was a beautiful symphony of pride and love. Her mother wept, her father beamed, and Miguel, ever the protective brother, looked like he might burst with excitement. "I told you," Miguel whispered to her that night. "I always told you they'd see how incredible you are." Elena realized that her journey was just beginning. This wasn't an end, but a remarkable beginning, a turning point that would redefine not just her life, but potentially inspire countless others who felt marginalized or different. The art competition was over, but Elena's real masterpiece, her life, was just starting to take shape. The art scholarship was more than just financial support, it was a gateway to a world Elena had never imagined possible. The regional cultural center offered her not just monetary assistance, but a comprehensive mentorship program that would challenge and expand her artistic horizons. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a renowned adaptive arts professor from UC Berkeley, became her primary mentor. Unlike previous instructors who had viewed Elena's disability as a limitation, Dr. Vasquez saw it as a unique artistic perspective. "Your arm isn't something to overcome," Dr. Vasquez would tell her during their monthly video consultations. "It's a tool of extraordinary expression. We're going to develop techniques that aren't just adaptive, they're revolutionary." The training was intense and multifaceted. Elena began studying adaptive art techniques from around the world, learning how artists with various physical differences had transformed their challenges into extraordinary creative strengths. She studied Japanese artists who created breathtaking calligraphy with their feet, painters who used mouth-held brushes, and sculptors who worked with prosthetic tools. Her skill development became a holistic journey. Physical therapy sessions transformed into creative workshops. She learned specialized grip techniques, developed custom tools with her father's engineering expertise, and began exploring digital art technologies that could amplify her unique capabilities. Miguel became her unexpected ally and technical assistant. He would spend hours researching adaptive technologies, watching tutorial videos, and helping her modify art supplies. His teenage tech savviness proved invaluable in finding innovative solutions. "Check this out," he'd say, bursting into her room with a new gadget or a modified tool. "I found this 3D printed grip that might help you with watercolor techniques." The support network expanded beyond her immediate family. Mr. Ramirez connected her with local artists with disabilities. They formed a small but powerful collective, sharing techniques, supporting each other's work, and challenging societal perceptions. But personal growth isn't a linear journey. For every breakthrough, Elena confronted deep-seated insecurities. Digital art workshops became her battlefield of self-doubt. While other students effortlessly manipulated graphics tablets with both hands, Elena had to develop entirely new interaction methods. She created custom stylus grips, experimented with foot-controlled navigation, and slowly built a toolkit that was uniquely her own. Her first major external challenge came unexpectedly: a national adaptive arts competition that promised not just recognition, but a substantial grant for further artistic development. The application process was grueling. Elena had to submit a comprehensive portfolio, a project proposal, and a video showcasing her artistic process. Each element became an opportunity to redefine her narrative. Her project proposal was audacious: a multimedia installation exploring the concept of physical adaptation. She would create a series of interactive art pieces that would physically challenge viewers' perceptions of ability and limitation. Nights blended into mornings as she worked. Her bedroom transformed into a creative laboratory. Sketches covered walls, prototype tools lay scattered on her desk, and her computer screen flickered with complex digital designs. Her mother became her emotional anchor during this intense period. "Rest is part of creation," Maria would remind her, bringing her chamomile tea and gentle encouragement. "Your mind needs space as much as your hands need movement." The school, which had once marginalized her, now began to take notice. The same hallways that had once echoed with mockery now displayed posters of her artwork. Local media picked up her story not as a sob narrative of overcoming disability, but as a genuine celebration of artistic innovation. Sarah Winters, her former primary tormentor, underwent her own transformation. Witnessing Elena's growth, she began to understand the depth of her previous cruelty. One day she approached Elena with a genuine apology. "I was horrible to you," Sarah admitted, her previous bravado replaced by genuine humility. "Your work, it's incredible." Elena's response was characteristic of her newfound strength. "Thank you," she said simply. "Growth looks different for everyone." The adaptive arts competition became more than just a contest. It was a platform for Elena to showcase a revolutionary perspective. Her installation would challenge viewers to reconsider their understanding of ability, creativity, and human potential. Her support network expanded strategically. She connected with disability rights activists, artists with diverse physical experiences, and technology innovators. Each connection added a layer to her growing understanding of herself and her potential. Physical challenges remained constant. Some days, the pain from her modified techniques would be intense. Some days, self-doubt would creep in like a persistent shadow. But her resilience had become a muscle: strong, flexible, constantly adapting. Dr. Vasquez's mentorship became crucial during these moments. Breakthrough isn't about eliminating challenges, she would remind Elena. It's about developing the capacity to move through them with grace and creativity. As the national competition's deadline approached, Elena realized something profound. This journey was never just about art. It was about reimagining human potential, about proving that limitations are often nothing more than perspectives waiting to be transformed. Her final project was more than an artwork. It was a manifesto, a bold, beautiful declaration that difference is not a deficit, but a unique lens through which extraordinary stories can be told. The universe, it seemed, was preparing her for something far bigger than a competition. Something that would challenge not just her own perception, but society's understanding of ability, creativity, and human potential. The National Adaptive Arts Symposium wasn't just another competition, it was a crucible that would test everything Elena had become. Held in the heart of San Francisco, the event brought together artists from across the country, each with their unique story of adaptation and creativity. Elena's installation was unlike anything the symposium had ever seen. Titled Fragments of Wholeness, it was a complex, interactive multimedia experience that challenged viewers' perceptions of disability, ability, and human potential. The centerpiece was a massive, rotating platform with sculptural elements that participants could manipulate. Each piece was designed to be operated through unconventional means: foot pedals, mouth-controlled switches, adaptive touch sensors. It wasn't just an art piece, it was a living, breathing demonstration of human creativity beyond physical limitations. As she prepared for the final setup, Elena confronted her deepest fears. The night before the exhibition, panic threatened to overwhelm her. Memories of years of mockery, isolation, and self-doubt crashed over her like a relentless wave. What if they don't understand, she whispered to her mother in their hotel room. What if this is just another way of being different, of being isolated? Maria's response was a gentle but powerful reminder of her journey. You're not creating to be understood, Mija. You're creating to challenge understanding itself. The morning of the exhibition arrived with an electric tension. The symposium's main hall was filled with artists, critics, disability rights activists, and technology innovators. Elena's installation stood at the center, a complex, breathing organism of art and technology. Her presentation was scheduled for the final hour of the symposium, a position that would typically induce anxiety. But Elena had transformed her nervousness into a powerful, controlled energy. As she began her presentation, something extraordinary happened. Her voice, once timid and uncertain, now carried a commanding presence. She wasn't asking for understanding or sympathy. She was presenting a radical reimagining of human potential. Disability is not a state of lack, she declared, her words cutting through the room's silence. It's a unique perspective of creation. Every limitation is an invitation to innovate. The unexpected twist came midway through her presentation. A technical malfunction threatened to derail her entire installation. Where most would panic, Elena saw an opportunity. Live, in front of hundreds of observers, she began to improvise. Using her modified tools, her shortened arm, and a creativity that defied conventional understanding, she began to reconstruct the malfunctioning piece. What could have been a moment of failure became a breathtaking demonstration of adaptability. The audience watched, transfixed, as Elena transformed a potential disaster into a live performance of human resilience. The judging panel, a group of renowned artists, technologists, and disability rights advocates, was stunned. This wasn't just an art presentation. It was a live demonstration of human potential that challenged every preconceived notion. Dr. Marcus Chen, a leading adaptive technology researcher, leaned forward. "This isn't just art," he muttered. "This is a blueprint for human adaptation." When Elena finished, the silence was momentary before erupting into a standing ovation. But this wasn't a pity applause. This was genuine recognition of extraordinary talent and perspective. The symposium's grand prize, a substantial grant and a year-long residency at a prestigious art and technology innovation center, was unquestionably hers. But the true victory was more profound. Elena had transformed her narrative from a story of limitation to a manifesto of possibility. Reporters swarmed her after the presentation. International media outlets began picking up her story. But Elena remained grounded, understanding that her journey was about something far bigger than personal recognition. "This isn't about me," she told one journalist. "This is about showing the world that human potential isn't defined by physical completeness. It's defined by creativity, resilience, and the courage to reimagine what's possible." Her family watched from the sidelines, Maria wiping tears, Diego beaming with pride, Miguel looking like he might burst with excitement. Miguel leaned over and whispered to his father, "I told you she was extraordinary." As the symposium concluded, Elena realized that this was more than a competition win. This was a pivotal moment that would reshape conversations about disability, creativity, and human potential. The world was about to see that true innovation comes from those willing to see beyond conventional boundaries. The months following the National Adaptive Arts Symposium were a whirlwind of unexpected opportunities and profound personal growth. Elena's installation, Fragments of Wholeness, had become more than an art piece, it was a movement. Universities across the country began inviting her to speak. Technology companies sought her insights on adaptive design. Disability rights organizations recognized her as a powerful new voice challenging societal perceptions. Her year-long residency at the Innovation for Adaptive Creativity Center became a transformative experience. Here, she wasn't just an artist, she was a catalyst for reimagining human potential. Working alongside engineers, technologists, and artists with diverse physical experiences, Elena developed a groundbreaking approach to adaptive design. Her most significant project emerged unexpectedly. Collaborating with a team of prosthetics engineers and digital designers, she began developing a series of adaptive art tools that could revolutionize creative access for artists with diverse physical capabilities. "It's not about creating tools for people with disabilities," she would explain during her presentations. It's about creating tools that expand creative possibilities for everyone. The local community of her hometown underwent a remarkable transformation. Eastside High, once a crucible of bullying, now invited her to speak to students. Her art exhibition became a mandatory cultural studies module, challenging young students to reconsider their understanding of ability and potential. Sarah Winters, her former primary tormentor, became an unexpected ally. Inspired by Elena's journey, she changed her career path, studying inclusive design and disability rights in college. Their relationship transformed from a narrative of bullying to one of mutual respect and understanding. Her family dynamic shifted as well. Diego began consulting with local schools and technology companies, sharing insights on adaptive design. Maria started a support group for parents of children with physical differences, using Elena's story as a source of inspiration and hope. Miguel, now in high school, became a vocal advocate. He started a school club focused on celebrating diversity and challenging stereotypical perceptions of ability. His sister had become his ultimate role model. The personal transformation was equally profound. Elena discovered that her journey was never about overcoming a limitation, but about expanding the very definition of human potential. Disability isn't something to be fixed, she would say in her talks. It's a unique perspective that offers extraordinary insights into human creativity and adaptation. Her art evolved, becoming a powerful medium of social commentary. Each piece was a nuanced exploration of human experience, challenging viewers to look beyond surface-level differences and recognize the extraordinary potential within unique perspectives. The grant from the symposium allowed her to establish the Rodriguez Center for Adaptive Creativity, a non-profit dedicated to providing resources, training, and platforms for artists with diverse physical experiences. Reflecting on her journey, Elena recognized the power of visibility. Her story wasn't just personal, it was a broader narrative about challenging societal limitations, redefining success, and recognizing that human potential is beautifully diverse. Every limitation is an invitation to innovate became her personal mantra and the mission statement of her center. The media narrative around her transformed. She was no longer a story of overcoming disability, but a celebration of human creativity in its most authentic form. Magazine covers, documentary features, and international speaking engagements followed. But for Elena, the most significant victories were personal. The little girl who once felt invisible had become a beacon of hope and inspiration for countless others. Her arm, once a source of deep insecurity, was now a symbol of extraordinary potential. It represented not a lack, but a unique lens through which creativity could be explored and expressed. As she looked to the future, Elena understood that her journey was far from over. It was an ongoing exploration of human potential, a continuous process of breaking down barriers and expanding possibilities. The world was learning to see differently, and she was leading that transformation, one brushstroke, one design, one conversation at a time. As we stand at the crossroads of innovation and tradition, the path forward becomes increasingly clear. The challenges we face today are not insurmountable obstacles, but opportunities for transformation. Through the stories and insights shared here, we've seen how individuals and communities can rise above limitations to create lasting change. The time for action is now. Each of us holds the power to make a difference, whether through small daily choices or bold initiatives. Your voice matters. Your actions ripple outward, touching lives in ways you may never fully realize. Take what you've learned here and apply it in your own sphere of influence. Start conversations, challenge assumptions, and most importantly, take that first step toward positive change. Join us in this movement. Share these ideas with others who might benefit from them. Connect with like-minded individuals who share your passion for progress. Together, we can build bridges across divides and create solutions that benefit everyone. 5 years later, the impact of these collective actions became evident. Community initiatives sparked by individual choices grew into regional movements. But what began as personal commitments evolved into systemic changes, proving that when people unite behind a shared vision, transformation is not just possible, it's inevitable. Your journey starts now. The future is waiting for your contribution. What will your legacy be?